Hey everyone, Couch Play, Dustin here. I think at this point, everyone has seen the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, as the internet seems to be kind of freaking out on it. So I just thought I'd share some of my thoughts on it as well. Obviously, it's all very impressive, right? And it's not really that I have anything negative to say about Unreal Engine 5 itself, as it's all good things. But I guess rather I just wanted to sort of speak to the expectations that we may have. Like, it's really, really cool to see these things. But it's good to keep our expectations in check, right? Like, it's just a tech demo. And we've all seen these things in the past, as well as how these things often sort of translate differently to the end products. So, anyway, well, you know what? With all that said, let me talk about the exciting factors, right? Like the lighting, or essentially, I guess it would be the global illumination showcase that they put on here, was really, really cool. This really is going to be what I feel is maybe the biggest game changer with next gen. Maybe not, but like at least graphically. It's like even seen in some of the less obvious like little details, like the real reflections that you can see on the like beveled edges of things, and how it sort of like reacts accordingly to the environment. Like, just really, really cool stuff. The fact that like lighting no longer has to be baked in is really, and you know what, even the geometry, like the geometry flexibility that game designers are now going to have is actually pretty amazing. Like, even the physics, like watching those rocks cave in from above when she's going down that dark corridor, and how they like actually bounce in a very lifelike and specific way while all this lighting reacts accordingly. Like, this is pretty fucking cool. It may seem a bit subtle, I guess, to maybe like the untrained eye, because a lot of people are probably thinking, well, I've seen this type of stuff before, you know, especially like it looks very Uncharted. But I think the implications it has on the development cycle is really what's cool about it. I think on a consumer level, actually, I think the SSD, the solid state drive effects on loading time and like draw distance, I think that's really going to be the most obvious stuff, more than maybe visual fidelity is. But that being said, I think these effects will definitely still be noticeable. Just, it might not feel as humongous a leap visually as, you know, like something like, you know, going from standard definition to high definition, you know, that massive leap. But I do think it's these little subtle effects. We'll appreciate it. You might not necessarily recognize every bit of it. But I think the effects of that solid state drive and the speed differences that we're going to see, that's something that's definitely going to be instantly recognizable and appreciated. You know, like a lot, probably a complete lack of loading times is what really excites me about it. And then, of course, from a development standpoint, it really, it's really cool that developers, it's just, hopefully it should just make things a lot easier and faster, maybe, to develop going forward. I don't know, but I think visually and like a lot of the implications of things that they were showcasing, is really, really cool. It's interesting to learn on a consumer level, but I think it's more geared toward the development cycle, where here's the scene. This is what I was talking about. What's playing on screen right now, these rocks. See how those rocks are falling. They fall in very specific ways. They bounce, reflect, and it's amazing. But I think visually the developers are going to like see that more, and we're going to get more of the other effects of next generation. But this stuff is still really cool. And obviously there's still going to be a visual leap, but in any case, I think that that's one of those things. Like, I think people are always expecting everything to just instantly look like real life, and I don't know. I think it's definitely going to have extra shine to it, but Anyway, I guess my concern is, well, it's maybe not so much a concern as much as it is like hesitations or skepticisms, but is looking at this tech demo from a practical standpoint. Here's another scene that you're seeing on screen. You see like the reflection of the beveled edges to the lighting and everything. It's just it's pretty amazing. Anyway, but I think like I have a lot of hesitations and skepticisms because I'm looking at this tech demo from more of a practical standpoint. Like, it's all very good in theory, but what are the actual practical implications? Like, it's easy to marvel at shit that we're seeing on screen, but first and foremost, this is a tech demo. It's not a real game, and it may not be entirely representative of games to come. My initial concern is, like, when I see something like this, is how big is this demo? Like what's its file size? I mean, naturally, these tech demo things are meant to showcase sort of the best case scenarios to really build hype. But the truth is that these assets come at a cost, which is data, file sizes. I mean, this demo could have easily been like, I don't know, like 2 terabytes in size. And that's what? A fucking, I don't know, 7-minute long demo, however long this was. Imagine applying that to like a 40+ hour long full length game. Basically, I think like the file size requirements could require unrealistic amounts of data if this is the measurement that we're using here. And so I think many games are still going to have to scale back pretty significantly. In other words, I'm not ready to just assume that next gen games are going to look quite like, this demo portrayed it. I think we'll certainly see certain elements of it. I mean, it's possible that they had a custom sized hard drive or external hard drive running off the PS5 system it was using. So it's really hard to say, but that's actually, that's another thing. I see a lot of people are focusing on this demo as like a PS5 showcase. I mean, it's an engine. It really doesn't have anything to do with the PS5. I've seen some people referring to this as like, wow, Sony just took the lead. And I'm like, I mean, they paid money to showcase the engine. It's not anything the Xbox and PCs of tomorrow won't be capable of. And I say that as someone that like prefers PlayStation over Xbox. I'm just not going to give them credit for anything here, as it really doesn't have anything to do with like a PS5 feature, any of the PS5 features that other systems won't have. I mean, unless I'm missing something, and I don't know if I am. Like, let me know in the comments, I guess. But like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of silly. I just seen some extra things, extra comments out there about how PlayStation really came out swinging. I'm like, well, did they? Because this is really just an engine. It's showing what all systems will likely be capable of going forward. Again, unless I'm missing something, but I love Sony. I just think that's silly credit at the moment. And again, we don't even know what sort of like custom setup they really had going on there. Anyway, I really just want to jump in and sort of provide some perspective. Maybe now that the hype of day one is sort of past, just be careful with those expectations. I feel like the gaming community tends to build themselves up every time and then seems to forget the past pretty easily. Like, I mean, shit, even look at the past tech demos and draw some of your own observations, conclusions, whatever the fuck. And you know what, finally, and this may be a bit unrelated, but my other thought when watching this video was like, oh, great, like more Uncharted style games thrown in our face. Like, I couldn't help but be a bit annoyed as I watched like the movement come to a halt at times as the game had to sort of throw a fancy visual or real-time event at you. And see, this is more what I'm concerned about going into next generation, is everyone's so fucking distracted by visuals and shiny objects these days that it's like people tend to miss the point of playing a game, which is the gameplay, I would assume. like when a game does it right, it's awesome. But when I think back to most of these games, especially like things like Uncharted and such, I remember the stories and the maybe the brief interactive action sequences, not so much the gameplay. I mean, don't fall for that shit. I look at these types of games displayed and I always think, well, okay, but how does the game actually function? How does it play? Is it fun? Like how does the character respond to the controls? We talked about this in our podcast about Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it's the reasoning to a lot of our distaste for that game. Like there's a lot of things that maybe we didn't really care for, but it's this type of shit that makes a game bad, at least in my opinion. It's why games like Doom are so great, even though they lack an in-depth story, if you can even call it that. Anyway, you know what? I'll get off that horse for now, time being. Sorry, I know I got a little off track there, but yeah, just to recap, I guess. Really, really cool stuff. I'm not gonna sit here and say the tech demo wasn't impressive, because it was. It was very impressive. A couple other little tidbits to mention is of course, I found it interesting how they included things like the smart integrated system where her feet and hands would find the right nooks and crannies on the cliff. That's really cool. Maybe you won't have to have such obvious ledgings that you've seen in Uncharted games, but anyway, that kind of stuff's cool. The lighting is fantastic. I think the global illumination effects alone are going to be really cool for next generation, but just don't be fooled by marketing, though. Keep your expectations in check, I guess is my overall message about this demo. I mean, honestly, I'd be more concerned about 2021 even having any games to offer, period, with all this shit going on. I mean, it's easy to think, 2020 is dead, but all the time that people lost this year, I don't know. I think 2021 is going to be a big drought, but yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it is easy to sort of watch these things and get pulled in, but I just, I always try to keep my expectations in check, and every time one of these comes out, the internet blows up and everyone just starts freaking out, and then later, people start bitching and complaining about things, and I think this tech demo had more implications from a developer side than it really does the consumer side. Again, with the with the exception of the lighting effects, I think that's something that we're really going to enjoy. And then the load times and draw distance, I think that's something we're going to enjoy. They didn't do an amazing job at displaying that type of stuff in this tech demo, but I think that's going to be the big shit that we'll notice. Because a lot of this other stuff is really we've kind of seen a lot of these other things before, right? With other development techniques and how they used to bake shit into the files, and you could get very, very similar results. Maybe there's an extra level of polish, which is great, but it's not this gigantic leap. But it's those small little details that make the difference. And again, from a developer perspective, I can see that being really excited. But again, the file sizes, I keep coming back to that. How large was this file? How practical is that in reality? And that's where I'm coming from on this type of shit. So again, really cool stuff, but keep your expectations in check. Don't be fooled. And yeah, anyway, so that's all I have. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe or even just hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. It really helps us out. And if you want to find out more about us, you can visit our website at couchplaycousins.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Couch Cousins and Facebook at Couch Play Cousins. And you can also check out our Twitch channel. Currently, we Twitch every Monday. Of course, you can find links to all this shit on our website and email us as well. But feel free to drop a comment below if you'd like to chime in, disagree. And until the next time, cheers.